Welcome to Mediumship by Picasso. My name is Picasso Roberts, and I want to say thank you so much for stopping by this channel. I so appreciate you and taking your time. I have a very special guest today. I'm going to move my speaker just a little bit closer. I have a very special guest today for my Getting to Know You series, and this is in honor of Samhain, or how we would say Halloween in our little world of existence. I would like to welcome Miss Ann Gage.
Hello, hi, hello, hi Picasso.
Hi, and Jay is has been, and I looked all last week for to bring an authentic witch in honor of Samhain, so that we could have a better understanding of what that entails. And everybody ran. everybody hid, and not everybody is comfortable to be their authentic self in front of others, and there's sometimes a negativity about witchcraft or being a witch or any of that. I want to say thank you so much, Jay, for stepping forward and in being your authentic self. Just explain a little bit to people what it is that you do. And please include, because you actually have a school, right, Jay?
That's right. Well, I have a business. We train people in mainly sort of mediumship, spiritual side of things, psychic work, but we do also do witchcraft that I'm training up. And yeah. And then on top of that, I run a a spiritual workshop. I have a business in Spiral Mediums where we train people to work with mediumship, to work psychically, but we also train people to work within the witchcraft area as well. On top of that, I run a small spiritual centre called the Haven in Grays. And that is where every Sunday we all meet up. We have a different platform medium. We do one-to-one read. Money that's generated from that goes to charity. So basically, it's two quite different things, but it's all working within, within the power. So that's what we do.
Oh, that's fantastic. Now, you're originally from the UK. We've gone international today, everybody. We've gone international, and if you could see, it's morning, but it is still dark outside where I am. Tell me a little bit about where you were raised and when this first started for you.
Okay, I was raised in London, West London, in a place called Hounslow, which would be, you would know it as near Heathrow Airport. So I was raised there with the planes going over every 5 minutes, incredibly loud childhood. When I first became aware of anything different, I was about 4 or 5 years after this house, and she used to have this really creepy house. Even to the extent that she was scared. If she wanted to go to the toilet, she would make us sit on the stairs outside while she went up to use the toilet. So even she wasn't comfortable with it. Myself and my sister used to play in the front bedroom. And in the bay window, there used to be a lady. She'd sit there. She was dressed all in black, and she'd watch myself and my sister playing. And she'd sort of smile at us and give us a little wave every now and then. Anyway, I'm not quite sure how it came about, but at one point, I think my mum and my grandma were looking at photo albums, and I was looking as well. And I went, "Oh, that's the lady." And they said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, that's the lady play." And it turned out, I described the lady. It was exactly the same lady as in the photographs. And it turned out it was my great grandmother. And she had that room as her bedroom, because she used to live with my grandma and grandpa in the bay window and watch the children going past out of the window and wave. So that was my first experience of seeing a spirit person. And my mum was a bit like, "Oh, why did you never tell us?" And I said, "Well, I thought everyone knew she was there. I just thought it was a bit odd that no one ever offered her a drink or anything. But I assumed that everyone knew she was there." So as a child, it's been completely normal. And something that everybody could see or do. It didn't occur to me that what I had was anything out of the norm. And I've sort of retained that almost childlike, if you like, acceptance of what I do. So to me, it's not weird or unusual at all. On the witchcraft side of things, yes, people are very anxious and nervous, or can be very anxious and nervous around coming out as a witch. It's a lot easier to say you're a medium, because you can say, all right, I know what that is. I've seen that on TV. I'm quite comfortable with that. Who have you got for me? That's always yeah, who have you got? Do me something for free. But if I say to people, I'm a witch, totally different reaction. And I get, are you a black witch? Are you a white witch? Oh, it's all right, she's a white witch. No, I'm not. I'm not a white witch. I'm not a black witch. I'm a witch. Magic is magic. There's no black magic, no white magic. There's magic. And it's the intent of the practitioner as to whether you use that for a positive or a negative energy. So, yeah, so that earliest experiences were was my
Wow,
great grandma.
that's interesting. Now, yeah, in your country, they probably are used to a little bit more the mediums and the psychics. In our country, they're still waking up about it. Yes, they do see it on TV, but there is still some confusion about, oh, you're a medium. That means you're working with the devil. You're working with
That's the
Satan.
one.
You're conjuring. You're doing this. And it's just really, it's I don't want to say bad intended people. It's a misconception and it's ignorance. And
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons
yeah.
why I like to have this show, is because I want people to get a better understanding of what things are and what they mean. So that's one of the reasons too why I'm so grateful that you're here to help people understand from the aspect, of the witch.
No, I'm saying we see. I think is a tremendously talented medium. I love it when he's on TV. So we see people like John Edward, on TV doing his thing, and it never occurs to us. I think the view of the States is quite different to the view that we have here. I mean, I know that I was talking to a woman from America. I think she was from Deadwood some time ago online, and I was telling her about the Haven, and she was saying they were illegal. And I was like, how can it be illegal? But apparently it is. Apparently there's quite a few states where it is actually illegal to practice mediumship, which I find astonishing, because here we don't at all. So yeah, but I just find it amazing that there's places in the US where to say you're a witch is probably going to get you in a whole heap of trouble. So yeah, very different in the UK.
Yeah, it's starting to lighten up a little bit in the town of St. Augustine, but when I first got here, yeah, you couldn't. They had all of the Charlie ghost trains and the ghost tours and the drunken pub crawls and all of that, but you couldn't actually put your little sign on the door that says psychic medium. That would be against their city rules or city laws and things like that. But
Yeah.
so let's move on, because for those that are not on the inner circle here, I made a huge mistake in this interview and I did not press the record button. So we are really getting to know each other this morning. And we just roll with it. It's all good. So Miss J, you're married and you have one son. I think you said he was in his 30s.
That's
Is
right.
that correct?
That's right. Yes, yes. He's got the same ability, but he doesn't like to use it, which is a great shame because he's a tremendously talented medium, better than me. Yes, a shame, but that's what it is. And I got mine from my dad, and my dad was very much that way, but again, didn't like to use it. It unnerved him. Proud, really. So.
Yeah. And then you also have your fur babies.
Yes, I have. I will show you a photo of my baby Mia in a moment. She's a beautiful British blue, so she's grey with these great amber eyes. And she came to me fairly recently through a bit of a strange path. And I believe she was meant to come to me because she's changed my life. She's just the most beautiful animal with the most beautiful soul. She's not particularly bright, but she is amazing. And I do think she's got the Mia. So yeah, so my Mia.
Talk to me about how it feels to be so strongly connected. When I was sitting with Spirit and asking what questions to ask, this
Mm,
it felt so old, so ancient. Can you explain a little bit about that?
mm, mm. Totally. I mean, I can give you an example. I went to an exhibition recently here in the UK. A lot of women were put to death for their apparent involvement in witchcraft. And a lot of the time, these women were herbalists, or they were midwives, or just local wise women. They weren't even necessarily witches. And as I was looking at these exhibits and seeing these lists of hundreds of women that had been murdered, due to being accused as being a witch, I felt like if I could have touched one of the exhibits, I could have so close. And also when we work within, if we're working, we're doing a spiritual spell. Quite often I will work with a god or a goddess, and these are obviously very, very ancient entities. And they come into the circle when they join you, and it's like, whoa, you're here. And you can just feel it's oh god, it's right inside you. You can just feel that energy stepping in, and it's just to say to you, why is it ancient? I don't know. I just know it is. You just get that feeling of like many, many, many years. Probably get it with your spirit guide as well, actually. But many years of knowledge of, but obviously these are entities rather than guides. So, but amazing. It's just the ancient nature of what witchcraft has always been there.
Yeah, it felt really, I heard like centuries of connectivity, and
Totally.
I
Mm.
felt that energy, like almost just connected all the way around the world. It was very strong and very beautiful. How do you guide people to see and understand the positivity of the craft?
Right. It's all about talking to people. It's all about getting people to listen to you. I think if they know me fully better, because they get an opportunity to understand my personality, I'm quite laid back, I'm quite unique, I've got a sense of humor. And I think once people sort of take that on board, then sorry, I can say, oh, and hey, guess what? I'm a witch. And then we get the whole, you're a witch. Yes, I'm a witch. So, but talking to them, I think meeting me as I am without the pointy hat, first opportunity to realize that actually I'm just an ordinary person like them. I just happen to prefer spell casting to watching TV at night. So I think guiding them into what witchcraft is very much is to understand who I am and that I'm not a monster or, anything particularly strange. And sort of go from there. So before I do the big reveal, I get them to know me first.
Nice. That's nice. It's really, I think it's so important that, we're all different, and I believe yes, we're born with gifts, but I do believe that everybody does have that ability, should they be okay and awake enough to
Absolutely.
use those
Mm,
gifts. I do believe that everybody can do that.
mm, mm.
Talk to me about what you would call the besom, what we would call, anybody who is not in that circle would call the witch's broom. So talk to me
Hmm.
about, what is the besom used for?
Right. Okay. Well, as you use it now, it's quite often used for casting the circle. So if you have your practitioner, she or he, sorry, has found their area in which they wish to work, sacred circle. So you basically just sweep around the circle. So you're using it to sweep out any dirt or muck or anything that is not particularly sacred. So that's how we would use it nowadays. How rumor has it was used many years ago. You'll obviously get the traditional image of the cat on the end, and Halloween and all this business. What witches actually used to do, I must point out I have not done this, was they would create an unguent, I believe it's pronounced, which is sort of like an oil and a cream, and they would apply that to their nether regions and apply it to the broomstick. And there's something within that, should we say, quite happy and feel like they were flying. And that's where that comes from.
Okay.
But we prefer just to stick with sweeping our circle with it. So, yeah.
Gotcha. I wonder if that has something to do with that, I think it is in Chinese medicine. There are openings or like a wind gate or whatever, with regards to energy. So I
Yeah.
think everything is so interconnected. And so I imagine that it would be
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
along those
Mm,
lines. And there goes
mm.
my speaking of integration or interconnectivity. Is there a crossover with astrology and witchcraft? Is like it integrated?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a whole deal about astrology, to be honest with you. I mean, if you're casting a spell, you will look at a lot of factors as to when spell. It might be a new moon spell, so it's something that you want to draw to you, or it might be a waning moon, which is something where you need to repel or get rid of negativity or stuff that no longer serves you. So the phases of the moon are very important, and the full moon, most of all, will just strengthen any magic that you're working. It's a very, very powerful source. But some witches also work within that, and they will look at planetary aspects and where this planet's going to be on this certain time and this certain date is going to be the best opportunity for them to cast that spell and for it to be successful. I personally don't do that purely and simply because I can't retain that amount of information. I will just work with the moon, I will work with the right color and what have you, and that suits me. But I know there are a lot of witches out there more knowledgeable than myself who are definitely able to plot almost like this whole astrological chart for something that they want to do that's particularly important. So, yeah.
Listen, I'm with you on the astrology. There's so much to
Mm,
know. It's such a science. And
yeah.
I'm like you, I can't
Mm,
retain. There's just so much to retain. And
yeah.
it's not in my wheelhouse. So I leave it to those experts. can't, I can't remember
Yes. Same
everything.
here. Yeah.
So you have quite the following. And even though we just met, I could feel your embrace. Even when we chatted yesterday, you just welcomed me right
Yeah.
into that realm. And how do you receive people? Like I felt you, and it was so comfortable and loving.
Mm,
How do you receive people in
mm,
your
mm.
circle, in the work that you do?
I mean, really, it's as you felt my energy yesterday. I don't always make the best judgment call with people because I always see people as being innocent till proven guilty. And sadly, that's not always the truth. But that said, I do think, generally speaking, I'm quite a good judge of character. And I can tune in, on a psychic level, obviously, which is different to mediumship, but on a psychic level, I can tune into people and pretty much get the measure of them. And I try very hard to be the person that they would like me to be. That's not saying this is a front, this is a fake. It's not. This is definitely a part of me. But I want them to see me as being loving and as being welcoming. I run a spiritual center. This is actually a good point at which to say this. I run a spiritual center. We open up every Sunday night. And it's to do with the mediumship side of things. So we give readings, we have a platform medium working. I mean, it'll get you guys close. We have loads of stuff that goes on there, and it's all to do with the mediumship side of things. It's a charity thing. We charge like I think it probably works out about $3.5, $4 entry. And anything that we make over and above the hall hire and anything else goes to local charities. Um, but the one thing that I tried to do there, to Essex, where I live now, I was very lonely and I knew nobody. And I thought, I'm going to go to the local spiritual centre. So I went along and I walked in and no one said anything to me. And I sat down and nothing. And then the whole service, nothing. And then I got up and went and no one said anything. And I thought, I don't like that. I really don't like that. Anyway, when the opportunity came to set up I'm going to take all those negatives and turn them round and just flip the whole thing. So it's very important to me that people walk through that door and they feel welcome. And then when they leave, they feel a little bit more uplifted than they did when they arrived. And it's all about upliftment. It's all about caring about people. It's all about being aware that our responsibility to spirit uplift and help and heal. And we're all healers, you know, whether you're a medium or whether you're a Reiki practitioner or you work with angels or whatever, we're all healers. I mean, even you and I just talking to someone would be a healing, a healing act. So that all up, I would say that my intent is to make everybody that walks through that door leave feeling a bit better. And we have to positively focus on that. My team positively focus on it. They understand. And it works. And people come back and they say, it's such a lovely energy. So, yeah, it does work doing that.
Yeah, I could really feel that for sure. So I'm grateful for that.
Good. Thank
Um,
you.
so tell us, what is something about you that nobody else knows?
Mm. I could tell you something that nobody that I see or live with or in this area knew until the other week. Um, I was gobsmacked. I don't know if it's a phrase you're familiar with, but I was absolutely amazed. I was hosting a ship with he was a psychic artist, John Hurley, very talented man. I'm going to be doing quite a lot of work with him. Now, he gave me a message from my first husband. My first husband, unfortunately, took himself over. He's no dad. And he came through with my first husband's name, Dave. And he showed me Dave with a guitar, which is right, because Dave used to play guitar. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is all nicely. And then he said, oh, and I want to say Cole, Cole. And I just went, shut up. And the whole room, all the audience were like, what's going on? I'm like, shut up. And he's like, oh my God, what have I to him? You have just used the maiden name that I had when I married Dave 30, nearly 40 years ago now, maybe, yeah, 40 years ago, that nobody in this room knows. You don't know. Nobody in the whole of Essex knows. And you have just given me that name. And that is an example of me. You don't know. I don't know if that's quite what you wanted, but I was so amazed that he gave me my maiden name. I've been married 3 times, so I've not used that maiden name for many years. And he came out with it. And I thought, oh my God, that's evidence at its absolute peak. You know, I was amazed. So that's something about me that people don't know, is that my maiden name is Cole.
So what you do is absolutely amazing, and you've been doing it for such a long time. Does it register to you the absolute strength and power that you hold?
Oh, absolutely. I am so grateful and so overawed and so, yeah, I am so lucky. I am so blessed. I lost my father some years ago now, and my father was the biggest influence in my life. I adored the man, and I lost him, and it was the thing I'd always been scared of all my life, was when my dad would die. Even as a little child, that was my biggest fear. And he did, and I was devastated, but I thought, do you know what? How would I have coped with this if I didn't have this belief and this knowing and this ability?
Yeah.
I can't understand how painful that would have been if I just thought, you're dead and that's it. You know, I couldn't. I just don't know how I would do it. And the funny thing is, my dad always used to say, you're dead and that's it. First readings that came through, he came through before he'd even had his funeral, through another medium at my Sunday night. And he said, your dad wants to say to you, you were right. And I'm like, yeah, I know I was right, but I don't know how people manage if they don't have that knowing, if they don't think that we move on, or that we're still here. That I don't
It's
know how they. So yeah, I feel very blessed and very fortunate to have the understanding and the knowledge that I've got, that I can live my life on a spiritual level as well as the level where I have to hoover up and buy cat food and what have you. I'm very, very fortunate to be living on that other level as well. Very, yeah.
that's
I
amazing.
know I'm blessed.
So which animal do you resonate with, or would be like a totem for you? What animal is your
Oh,
animal?
cat, cats all the way. Adore mind you, that said, my spirit animal guide used to be a wolf, which everyone's got a wolf, is now a spider. I've got a unicorn, I've got a wolf, I've got a this, I've got it, and I'm going, got a spider.
Now, is it
So
the same guide that has shapeshifted, or is it is
no, it is different.
okay?
It is an animal. It is a spider. She the spider weaves the web between the earth plane and the spirit world, and I believe
Mm.
that's why I've been given her as a totem animal. But my great love of cats actually harps on to a past life that I had, and I never realised. I used to be a zookeeper at London Zoo, which is a big zoo here in the UK, and I used to look after big cats.
Mm.
And I think obviously I've taken that love of cats from that life to this, and my life has always been wrapped up around my animals. And at the age of 21, I got my first cat, and it's just gone. I got, at one point it was ridiculous, I had 6 and it was getting too much, but I've now just got my baby girl here, and 3 that live with my husband. So yeah, cats all the way, definitely, but my totem animal is my spider, bless her. So
Wow,
yeah.
that's beautiful. Um, so that for those of you who are listening, try not to kill the spiders. If you're afraid of spiders, just try to scooch.
Oh no, don't, no, no. If
Well,
you want
people
to love and thrive, if you want to love and thrive, let a spider run alive. That's what they say. Don't do
right.
it.
So try to
Mm,
scooch them out and help them out of your path if you're afraid of them. But do your best. I always try to do
mhm.
my best to, I have the conversation. Look, now listen, you cannot do this in this space. You can be over here,
Yeah.
you could be over there, but you got to be, or you got to be
Mm,
outside. We can't be doing this. And so I try to relocate,
mm,
and
mm,
with respect. I have
mm.
squished spiders in my lifetime, but just out of shock, out of like, oh, and so
Yeah.
it can happen. um
Mm.
and then I always feel so bad after after
Ah,
that happens. I'm so sorry.
mm,
So listen, when I was sitting with spirit, and asking, like, what kind of questions are we asking? What are we doing? And one of the things, that they said is they wanted me to ask you about your gran or granny and how she may have shared with you. Do you understand what they mean by that?
yeah, I do. I do. My grandma was my dad's mother, and like my dad, she was a massively influential part of my life. I adored my grandma, and again, broke my heart when she passed over. Quite an interesting family. They were circus performers, and they travelled all over the world with the circus. I think my grandma was like the first generation that wasn't in the circus life, but she had amazing stories to tell, and I think she was a little bit fey, to be honest with you. People used to say, "Oh, she's away with the fairies," and maybe she genuinely was. I mean, as a child, someone like my grandson to have, because she would get down, before she got elderly, she'd get down on her hands and knees and play with us. And but there was always this awareness of fairies, of magic, of magical beings, that she used to talk to us about, as if it was, the same as Mrs. Bloggs next door. So yeah, she had a big influence on me. She made me understand that there was more to life than just what we could see. So she was an amazing woman, very magical, lovely, lovely, the best grandma any child could want for.
I'm glad you mentioned about the fairies. I'm going to switch some of my questions around because this is a great segue into this next question.
Sure.
So when I was sitting there and Spirit showed me these gnarly little gnomes, and they they have this cheeky little laugh, and the imagery that they gave me was so funny. What do the gnomes mean to you? And the cheekiness that I saw and felt, I'm wondering if you get the same thing.
I do. I would cut across that though and say, and not intrude in any way here at all, but I'm wondering if they've brought you what you could do with a little bit in your life at the moment. So maybe that's why you're getting the cheekiness, and perhaps they're saying to you that you could be a little bit more playful. And please forgive me for putting that forward as a suggestion, because it's not my business to do so. But I think that maybe that's why you were getting that particular imagery. Though, I was smiling when you were talking about the gnomes, because I draw, and I've been trying so hard in the last few days to incorporate fairies and pixies and sprites into my drawings. But I found it very difficult. So I'm hoping that the fact that you got the gnomes through yesterday means that I may now be given the card to go ahead and get them into my drawings.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe that's what you could use. And please let me get the fairies in my drawings, and let me get them right, because I'm not getting them right. So if they would help me with that, that would be brilliant. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah, it's, and I still see that imagery. So yeah, I could always use to have a little more fun. Let me just tell you, that's for sure.
I think we all could.
No kidding. And let me ask you, Spirit mentioned something about love letters, and they asked me to ask you what something about love letters and what do they mean to you? Like something about writing them and saving, or writing them and burning. Do you understand?
I know what they would mean if they were saying writing things and burning them. They wouldn't necessarily be love. I have done quite a few love spells.
Okay.
So I suspect that's what they're talking about. And with a lot of spells, you would write down what it is that you're wishing for, or indeed what you wish to banish. And you will project that energy into this piece of writing, and then you would set light to it to let it go up to the elements and ask them to do with it as they will. They're talking about that because I have been doing quite a few love spells recently for other people, but also to boost myself. I hope you're watching, Tony. That's my husband. So yeah, so I've been doing quite a few workings to do with love lately. So I think that's probably what they're seeing.
And how does that make you feel, like when you can help people to make that connection through that spell?
Oh, well, it's great, obviously. You know, I mean, there's nothing better. Do you know what? That thing you did for me, oh my goodness, it's worked so well. And you go, yes. But you can't be seen to be going, yes. You have to say, I'm so pleased. You know, you say, oh, I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased. But inside you're just going, yes, I knew it would. I knew it would. So it's a great feeling. I mean, to help anyone. And you must feel the same with this, Picasso. If you're using your abilities and it helps people, to help anyone is an amazing thing. To have the ability to help other people, we're not after looking after ourselves all the time. It has to do with making our mark on the planet and helping people as we go.
Yeah. I know it's a beautiful feeling when you can help somebody. It's just amazing. How are you personally affected by storms or weather patterns?
I love a storm. Oh, I would go out and stand out in them at every opportunity. I absolutely love storms. And that's something I got from my dad. My dad used to love them as well. And I think because when I was little, he sort of like, oh, it's storming, it's storming. And I was never, dad was there. My dad was this big, strong man and he wasn't scared. So I thought, no, I like this. And he used to take me to the window, or maybe when I got a bit older, we'd actually go out into the garden and just watch them. And he taught me how to count between the lightning bolt and the thunder to work out how far it was. And then you knew it was getting closer and closer, then you knew it was going away. I absolutely love a storm, but I love dramatic weather. So I will love a storm. I will love really high winds. Um, anything like that. And the elements also play a massive part in magical workings. You work with the spirits of the north, south, east, and west, and each have their qualities. And you're working with water, fire, although I have to be careful with fire. And I think it is possibly to do with I've got quite a fiery personality, and I'm in Aries, so I'm a fire sign, I believe. But I did go through a phase of when I was doing magical workings, having small fires bursting out spontaneously. And they used to be mainly on what was like, okay, I need to rein that side of myself in, because these guys, these little energetic guys, are making little fires to let me know they're still here. I've not sent them back. So I used to have to send them back properly, and I used to have to be very careful, and still am very careful about how I work with fire. So that element I need to sort of ability, if you like. And I can't set fires here because this is like sheltered living. We'd never get everyone out in time. So no, don't. If you live with me and you're watching fires in my flat anymore, I'm talking about fires when I lived at home, where it was my house and I could set light to it if I wanted to. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
fires, I have to be careful. Other than that, um, dramatic weather, absolutely, bring it on. I love it.
yeah. It reminds me of this, a few moments when I would be staying the night with my grandmother, and there would be these electrical storms, and she would, you know, call me over to the window, and we'd watch, just like, wow, how the electrical storms would just crack and pop.
Oh yeah, I was fortunate enough to be on a cruise ship at night. And I don't know if you've been on one, but it is just black. You look out on the deck and it is black. There's no delimitation between the water and the sea, and the clouds and the sky. There's nothing. It's just black. And I was fortunate enough to see an electrical storm over the sea. And I always said it's God's fireworks, but I'm not really a God person. But it was just something so elemental, and it was just amazing. You've got this pit, imagine, and then all of a sudden, kapow! And
Yeah.
wow, that's where you want to see storms, is on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. That's the
And
way to see them.
I'm in Florida, and I've been in the Caribbean a lot. So what we
Mm,
call that, or what have seen similar to that, would be what we call heat lightning. And there's no
mm.
actual storm at times.
No,
It's just the
mm.
lightning that comes in. It's
Just the
really,
lightning. Yeah,
really
that's what I was
beautiful.
thinking. Mm,
So
mm.
along those lines, along the cruise ship, this is interesting because my next question is, have you traveled? And where would you,
Ah,
I know, right? Have you
mm.
traveled, and where would you say is the most comforting place in the world? And would you go back?
Right. I have traveled. I've been very fortunate. The majority of my travels, which is great because you get to see a different country every day. The place that I would go back to that is the most beautiful place is Florence, in Italy, because of the art there. But also there is, I'm so bad at remembering names of places, and my husband's going to kill me for this. It's like a church, but it's open to the sky. And if it rains, the rain comes through, and it comes through this hole. So you've got this perfect circle of rain, which is amazing to watch. But I felt very comforted there. But I also felt that probably the most deeply spiritual experience I've had was at Sagrada Familia, which is in Barcelona. And it's a church and it's a work in progress. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but basically, it was designed by the artist Gaudi, and he does all these amazing looking metal. He started it off. After he died, the church then carried on, and you can see through the generations the change in the style of architecture, and it's still not finished. Because it works purely on the basis of donations from the congregation and people working for free. But although there might be, I mean, when we went, there was a little guy sort of on his hands and knees making mosaics in the floor, tiny, tiny little tiles. And you're walking along like builders' ramps and what have you. But as you walk through, it is the most spiritual place I think I've ever been to. And I think that's because of the way it was being built by people that had the love, that had the belief, that were spiritual people, rather than your builders that were working for X amount of dollars per hour. And I think that's probably the reason. But it's an amazing place. I would say to anyone, go to Barcelona, go to Sagrada Familia, and see for yourself, because the feeling there is just, that's the place. Yeah, definitely, that's the place.
Wow, that's amazing. I'll have to check that out and put it on my bucket list.
Do.
Yeah, Spain is definitely on
Do.
my bucket list, but it's because of the food.
Fair enough. Yeah, yeah. We did get pickpocketed there though, so I wasn't all that happy with it. But there you go. Watch out for pickpockets.
Sneaky little boogers.
Mm.
All right. So this next thing that Spirit brought to me is really interesting. What experience, if any, do you have with walking a labyrinth? And do you treat gardens in the same way you would a labyrinth? Like there's something about being focused. Now you're in a chair now, but it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do this in your mind. You may have done this in the past. But
Mm-hmm.
talk to me about the focus that you have within a labyrinth and or within your gardens.
Mm. I'm smiling as you're asking this question because it's so pertinent. My business, not my center, but my business where we offer training courses and what have you, is actually called In Spiral Mediums. So it's in the spiral. Now, I believe that everybody has the ability to walk the spiral, but the spiral is very significant in witchcraft. And there's a book actually called The Spiral Dance by a woman called Starhawk. And it's an incredible book, and I would recommend anybody that's interested in that sort of things to read it, because she talks about the spiral being the form that it doesn't matter where you stand on it, in the same place, and that's to do with your spiritual development. So you're never going to completely stop. It's always just going to be going round and round, and you're going to pick stuff up as you go. And Starhawk and her coven, I believe she's actually American. I'm not sure where from, but Starhawk and her coven, they always dance a spiral dance before they do any magical workings. So the spiral and the spiral dance, within modern paganism and modern witchcraft, to the extent, as I say, that I named my company In Spiral. So we're all in the spiral. So yeah, so spiral's very important, very, very
Wow.
relevant.
That's fascinating, and it's so cool how you feel things, and how just in having this conversation
Mm,
and having
mm,
having the questions come across, how much spirit comes through, and that they give me the little nudges, like the pressure or the sound in the ear, and I know to decipher
mm.
whether it's on the right and what it's on the left and what things mean. And it's just it's a language I absolutely love,
It's
love, love
fantastic,
it.
isn't it?
Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely love it.
I do. I think we're both very, very blessed to be able to do this work.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd be with it, to be honest. I'd be ever so boring, would you, if you didn't have this? I
Yes.
don't know what I'd do. Yeah,
Now let me ask you, once a witch, always a witch? Or
absolutely.
do people leave the craft and
It's
then never pick it up again?
I guess people probably do, in the same way as people will leave any faith path. That, if at that point in their life it's not serving the purpose that they need. But I mean, I know many people, I mean, I'm sure you have, for example, who are actually working as a medium or a psychic, and then all of a sudden gone, do you know what? This isn't for me. I'm not going to do this. Spirit never let you go. Once they've got you, they never let you go. So you will see these people leave, but then they'll rock up again. It could be sort of 2 years, 20 years, but they will reappear and go, do you know what? Actually, I couldn't stay away from it. And I think the same is with magic in your soul, and you are able to magically, energetically make things happen. Why would you want to leave?
I
Because
know.
you can just change your life, you can change your reality. I don't understand why people would want to leave. I really don't get it. It's something that's ingrained in you. You can't, it's like having freckles or brown hair. It
Yeah.
is what it is.
Well, I suppose everybody's got their journey and what they can handle at certain times in their life
Yeah,
depending
definitely.
upon
Mm,
their emotional losses and gains and all of that.
yeah.
It all matters, I suppose, going along that
Mm,
way.
mm.
What is your number? And do you understand what spirit means by asking what is your number?
Well, in numerology, my name calculates out to being a number 5. I used to know the relevance of it, but to be honest, cannot remember now. But I think it is something to do with being a leader, so basically being bossy, with being an outgoing personality. I don't know a lot about numerology, but I know I'm a 5. And also 44 is a very relevant number for me as well.
That's the one.
Sorry.
That's the one. It's not yeah, because as you were talking about the numerology number for your name or
Yeah.
whatever, I'm like, no, that's not it. Hang on, she'll get
No.
it. And they're saying yes,
Mm,
absolutely 44. So what does that mean to you?
44. Yeah. Well, 44 of a house that I was happiest in, that I bought with my husband, and he's still living in it. And it's that was my house. That was what I wanted. I wanted an open fire. I wanted a conservatory. I kept getting the details of this house sent through to me, and I was saying, no, it's ugly. I don't want it. It's ugly, because it was from the outside very ugly. But I thought, oh, for goodness sake, let's go and have a look, because it had been sent about 5 or 6 times to me. We went and looked. I only got in as far as the entrance hall, and I said to my husband, this is it. And it is. It was the most magical, happy, calm place that I've ever lived in. Interestingly enough, though, 4 in which is something else that I've dabbled with, is not necessarily a very positive number. But if you add 4 and 4 together, you get 8, and that is. So I like to say we're an 8 in that house. But yeah, so 44 to me, and I will always apply it in I'm not going to say where, but certain passwords and what have you. There's always going to be a 44 or a
Yeah.
4 or something like that. Yeah, so 4. And on my lottery tickets, 44.
That's really cool. So listen, at the end of each interview in this Getting to Know You series, I have this questionnaire that I like to use. And as it
Okay.
happens, one of my favorite shows has always been Inside the Actor Studio. I'm a real movie person. And
Yeah.
James Lipton was an actor, but he did this interview series. And at the end of each interview with these actors, he would use this questionnaire created by Bernard Pivot, a French journalist. And I just have always loved it. And I would like to do that with you, with your permission.
Sure. As long as you're not going to ask me how much I weigh or if I've got all my own teeth, then I'm fine with that. So, yeah, no,
Nope.
go ahead.
Of course
The
not.
answer is too much and no.
All right, so
Hmm.
we'll begin.
Yeah.
Jay, what is your favorite word?
Cats.
What is your least favorite word?
Oh, depression.
What turns you on?
Really good music, art, and food.
What turns you off?
People that moan and complain all the time, that life is never good enough. Those
Mm,
sort of people.
yeah. What sound or noise do you love?
Music, good music. I mean, there's particularly a couple of bands that I doesn't matter where I am or where I'm doing, what I'm doing. Yeah, music,
Mm.
definitely music.
And what sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, that's easy. Burglar alarms going off for absolutely no reason.
Yeah. What is your favorite curse word?
Drives me mad. It's really rude.
Say it.
It's buggery bollock. There you go, buggery bollocks. Here's
I
one I
love that.
prepared earlier.
And then what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I always wanted to be a teacher, and I would have loved to have been a drama teacher or an art. I would like to have done.
Nice. And then lastly, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear when you rock up to the pearly gates?
I would like to see or to hear my dad going, "Hello, Jay."
Oh, that's beautiful. Yay. Well, thank you so much. I love that questionnaire
Thank
and I
you.
love your answers, and it's just been wonderful. I would like to make sure, just so everybody knows, Jay's information and all of her links to how you can reach her are going to be in the description
Yeah,
section of this video on this channel. I just want people to know that you're accessible, that they can reach you, and this is where they can
absolutely.
reach you.
Absolutely.
My information will
I'd
be
love
there
to
as
hear from
well.
people.
You know, do you have anything going on right now? And what are your social
Mm.
media accounts?
I've got right. We are active probably most on Facebook, although I'm looking to develop a presence more so in people like Insta, have you. But we're mainly Facebook people at the moment. And on Facebook, it's Ann Gage. And the profile photo is a purple spiral. So that's how to find me on Facebook. Email is inspiral@live.co.uk. I'll give to you. You can put in the information as well. If people want to email me or talk to me, I promise I will answer anything that comes up. That's not a problem. With regard to things that we've got happening, you'll recall during the conversation I was telling you about the evidence that was given to me with my maiden name. I've got a workshop, a whole day workshop on evidential mediumship. It's a lady called Debs Keeley, and she's an amazing medium, really, really good. And she's going to be teaching how to get that wow moment, how to get that and how to get shut up, that sort of moment from your audience when you're giving a reading. Is something that as mediums and psychics we all really hope for. So don't you, when you see that penny drop and that, so we're spending a whole day being taught how to do that. Doesn't matter if you've never worked as a medium. It doesn't matter if you're working as a medium and you're already quite successful. This is going to give you new skills in order to find that wow moment. And that's being taught by Debs Keeley, and that's on the 12th of November. I myself do a little bit of teaching. I'm teaching a workshop on Meet Your Spirit Guides, and that's on the 4th of November. On the 18th of November, I'm doing a work, and then on the 25th of November, I'm doing a work on manifestation. These are all in Grays in Essex, and all my workshops, my personal ones, are priced at £20 or £25. And the workshop with Deb in the evidential mediumship is only £30, which for a full day's workshop is amazing value. So they're the things we've got coming up immediately. And the Haven's always open every Sunday. So, and that is, the Haven is Facebook page, The Haven in Grays. That is the
Okay.
Facebook page for the Haven. But if you get on mine, I'll get you on there.
And then that's located in Grays, right?
Everything I've just told you about is in Grays, yes.
Okay.
Another branch of in Spiral Therapists, where we are lucky enough to be able to train people to qualification standard in alternative therapies. And we've got classes coming up in things like Indian head massage and Reiki 1, 2, and master level, and sorts of alternative therapies, to the extent where really we've had a lot of people actually set up their own little businesses on the back of the mediumship that the therapy work that they've learned with us. And that is also something that I can point people in the right direction if they're interested in any of those courses to qualify as a therapist. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's everything we do.
You're busy. You are one busy lady. Okay, so everybody, Jay's information is definitely going to be on the description section. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on with me so that you don't forget. You can always reach me on mediumshipbypicasso.com. That's my website. You can book me for a private read there. My readings are 90 minutes and they are integrated. Whatever it is that you need, we make sure that we cover and that you have enough time to get those questions answered for sure. And then I have a Facebook page, it's Mediumship by Picasso, and then this here YouTube channel, Mediumship by Picasso. Now, events that I have coming up, I'll be in Tampa, Florida on the 12th and 13th of November at the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo, and I'll be doing mini reads all day long on both of those events. They'll be open from 10 to 6. Now, when I say a mini read, this time they're going to be 30-minute reads. I typically would do 20-minute reads at these events, but I'm being called to extend the time on these reads. So I don't do many reads outside of those events. So just on those events. And then I'm going to be at Amici Italian Restaurant is having me back for a gallery event, a Taste with Spirit, on Black Friday, November 25th, the day after Thanksgiving. So after you've gotten all your crazy shopping done and nobody's going to want to cook. So get a ticket on eventbrite.com. You'll just go to Amici. You can enter in Amici St. Augustine Beach and get your ticket. That will include food and the event, the gallery work that I'm doing. So you can get a ticket without the food if you want, but look, just don't worry about cooking at home. Come out and enjoy their food. They have a phenomenal chef and you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun. At my gallery events, let me just tell you, Spirit has us laughing. They have us crying. They have us laughing again. And it's just never a dull moment. And I absolutely love how they get the information through. And I try to make sure that everybody gets what they need. Now, not everybody in the whole room is going to get a message, but we work as fast as we can, as best as we can. So quality over quantity for sure. So I will leave you with that. Thank you so much, Jay, for being here. Oh, and everybody, don't forget to, when you're on this video, please subscribe. I am building this channel and I'm going to do my best. You're going to reach out to your peeps there, Jay. And
I have got 5,500 friends on Facebook. I expect all of you to visit this channel and all of you to subscribe, because we need to put this woman through the roof with her subscriptions and her likes. So if you're in the tribe and you visit, please subscribe and please like, because we need to support everyone that's, in the same business as we are. So let's support Picasso and subscribe. And that's my little bit of
there we go. Really. And that's what it's all about, Jay, is raising each other up. So that's one of the reasons why I do these interviews, is to bring awareness to people. It's shining a light on you and what you do, on me and what I do, and just bring it all together, and then helping people get a better understanding of things. So
I'm very grateful for the opportunity. So thank you very much indeed.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, behave. Oh, sorry, Yeti, my little Yeti. So everybody behave, have a great rest of your day, and peace.